Konnichiwa, Yoasar Maris, and welcome to Shift+F1, a podcast about speedy race cars. That, by the way, is Hungarian. Impeccable Hungarian, I might add. If there is no horse, a donkey will do just as well. Which refers to a situation where you know that something better exists, but you decide to settle for what you have, even if it's not as good. Is Verstappen settling for a donkey? Are there any horses available? Perhaps we'll see later in the show. I'm Drew Scanlon. Joining me, Danny O'Dwyer. How are you, Danny?
Good. I was trying to figure out if you were calling me or Rob the donkey in that one. I'll take donkey today. I had a bad night's sleep last night, and I'm feeling a little bit out there, and it might be because I was just so energized by the action at Spa.
Great. Loopy Danny. Let's do it. Also joining us, Rob Zachney. How are you, Rob?
Not too bad. If we're concerned about getting this podcast off to the right start, maybe we should just take it slow for a few laps, like maybe behind a safety car, just really pump some topics off the surface of the run of show, and then get rolling.
Yeah, I agree. Safest.
Safest
way forward.
Absolutely.
If you're new to this podcast, a very warm welcome to you, and if you are new to Formula One itself, we recommend listening to our preseason primer episode, which assumes no prior F1 knowledge and explains how the sport works and who everybody is. So if you would like to go back and listen to that, it's episode 298. Also, this show would not be possible without our audience over at patreon.com/shiftf1, where every month we release ad-free versions of the podcast early, along with bonus podcasts and videos exclusively for our patrons that cover racing documentaries and films, F1 video games, experiments with other racing series, and a lot of weird things. So if you would like to support the show and get access to all that fun stuff, head over to patreon.com/shiftf1 or click the link in the show notes. What's going on in Patreon land this month, Danny?
We recorded and uploaded our review of Apex, the secret race across America, which was not the F1 movie. It is a racing movie, an interesting one about transcontinental time trials that myself and Drew did. And we had to postpone F1 the movie, but we're getting to it. This month we'll be recording. What are we today? Oh, it's almost the end of the month. So the next couple of weeks we'll be recording the F1 the movie review, and that will be up as well. Apex GP right there. We're just warming ourselves up for the real Apex GP. And of course, massive thanks to our incredible title sponsors, including Ricky Vahora. Shift+F1 welcomes Baby Hugo. Hope Baby Hugo's doing all right. Baby Hugo, hope you enjoyed Spa. It's not, it used to be a better track before you were born. Or the F1, the current cars, the spray. We'll get to it.
Hugo probably needs to nap, and that was the perfect race to do it.
That's a very good point. Absolutely. The chicken finger pita, Matt and Harmony, Dinge, It's a Me, Ferrario, Online Gambling, Get Rich, O'Dye Ryan, Agave ATX, Cyphus Training, Turf SCS, Michael Maves, Mission Winnow, Telemetry Deck, Colin the Lunchbox, FTC, Drew Stewart, Bailey Foot, Jason, Abraham Getchell, # Bunny Crimes, Snigs, Alex Goucher, Max Voltar Keyboards, Jeff Foster, Troy Stammer, William Rumpf, Lachlan the Madden Man, Samurai Love Story, and Jason Kelly, not to be confused with Jason from earlier in the list. Thank you all so much for your incredible support.
Yes, indeed.
They listen every week, even if the race is not that good.
We're going to need your support this week because we have a lot to get to.
That's true.
A sprint, a race, the news, the Hungary. So let's kick things off here.
But let's not talk too much because we might create a lot of spray. It might be hard to see.
The mist.
Exactly.
Coming from my mouth.
Can we talk briefly about the sprint qualifying real quick?
Yeah.
Sure. So two things they're going to be important for the sprint race, which was I think the real low point of the weekend. But Red Bull showed up running a very low drag setup. Just opting to get their tires are competitive with the McLarens, but the broadcast brought up an interesting graphic where the Red Bull's time was entirely on all the straights, and then they were just getting beaten pretty much everywhere else. But they had so little drag, it kind of came out in the wash. Terrible weekend for Mercedes. Antonelli has lost his feel for that car, but the big thing was I didn't really think the vibes could get worse at Ferrari, but I was badly mistaken. Hamilton had a really weird Q1 exit at in sprint qualifying. He locked up at bus stop, and there's if you basically run off straight at bus stop, there's a big runoff area, and he just parked the car there rather than use the runoff road. But he also didn't rejoin, so he kind of just brought out a yellow flag that killed everyone's time behind him. But when they asked him like what happened, he was just like, locked the rears, first time in my career, which seems hard to believe. But also, like, it was my first thought. My wife also commented, I was like, does Lewis look old? And I was like,
no.
It's abrupt, and like it just, he looked haunted, and I was like, oh god, like
He went off the tire cliff.
Ferrari too. Lewis is being subsumed by the rancid Ferrari vibes.
And they had an upgrade this week as well, which
they thought they did.
Exactly, yeah, which went the opposite direction, maybe. Much like that Mercedes car is. Kimi qualifying, I believe, last for sprint. Is that right?
I think so. He spun off the gravel into the gravel in Q1, which actually kicked some rocks onto the track and damaged his teammate's floor. George Russell, who went out in SQ2, so that couldn't have helped. Andrea Kimi Antonelli will start 19th after Franco Colapinto modified his car, so he'll start 20th. Lewis Hamilton, like as you said, the Ferraris had an upgraded or a new suspension this weekend. I think Leclerc said like thumbs up, but it doesn't really seem to be doing much. As to the spin, Hamilton, I think team principal Fred Vasseur said, yes, it was driver error, but Hamilton also pointed out that like there was an unfamiliar part on the car. We don't know what that is necessarily, but that may have contributed to him not feeling as familiar with it. I think it was a part that Leclerc has been running with for a while, but it was new to Hamilton.
The handbrake got him.
Just
suddenly there's a handle in your car. I guess we'll try it. If this works, I'll be epic through the bus stop.
Yeah. A kind of a scrambled grid for the sprint, which you're just like, oh man, if this had been the grid for the race, it would have been way more interesting. Piastri, Verstappen, Norris, Leclerc are the top four. Then we've got Ocon, Sainz, Behrman, Gasly, Hadjar, and Bortoleto.
Yeah.
Rounding out the top 10. Gasly, though, despite his great qualifying, had a water leak in his car, so he didn't make the start, but the team did eventually send him out 2 laps down for effectively some practice laps. But he also did not see the finish, recording both a did not start and a did not finish.
Yes. And they put him out in like basically an empty area of Spa during a 15-lap race, so he never saw anyone.
Right.
He was on his own.
It's actually pretty cool, though. You can do like closed track test sessions at Spa during a race. Great.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Then we had Lawson, Tsunoda, Russell, Alonso, Stroll, and Albon. In 16th, he had an engine problem. Apparently, that is something plaguing Williams, along with some issues they're having with cooling. Then
great quality for Sainz, though, like you said.
Yeah, exactly, up there in 6th. Hulkenberg 17th, then Hamilton, Antonelli, and Colapinto starting from the pit lane. Dan, you want to take us through the sprint start?
Sure, yeah. Nothing much to report before Eau Rouge, but on the Kemmel Straight, Verstappen, who has put all of his points into straight line speed, he's picked the Mario Kart one with top speed. Has a great run up the arse of Piastri and manages to get around him relatively easy before the turn.
And that's the sprint, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Right. Well, yeah, Leclerc did also get past Norris, but it was a short-lived overtake in the end. But yeah, those were the two big overtakes at the end of the Kemmel Straight, which signaled that it might be a bit of a fight up front. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, Verstappen didn't run away with it, and on lap 11 of 15, I think, he went a little wide. That allowed Piastri to get even closer, but in the end, it was not enough.
I have to admire, this is the mark of a true professional. Crofty got so excited every time Piastri rolled up on Max at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Like, every time is like, is this the lap where he makes the overtake? And no, Dave, it's not going to be the lap where we see this. This is lap 15. We've seen this like for 9 laps now. It's not it. This is not happening. The Kemmel Straight's not long enough. And look, doesn't matter.
And what's he fighting him for? Like he's racing Lando for the championship. In first place you get 8 points. In second you get 7. In third you get 6. So like. There's no like it's for a point. Like there's no point. Just I mean there is a point. It's 1, but you know what I mean. There's no point.
So watching it with like the track map simultaneously, I think Spa feels like the track that has been destroyed most thoroughly by current F1 design like principles and philosophy, because it is a really fast track, but outside of the Kemmel Straight at the top of Ranelagh, there's not a lot of straights, right? There's a lot of flat sections, but they are not straight, and so they're still downforce dependent. And you can really kind of see even on the map, like once cars pull into like well before DRS, it just gets really hard to claw into striking distance over the back half of that lap, and they can put that DRS zone, but it can't make up for the fact that like you lose so much coming up, like Eau Rouge Radillon, and then the rest of the lap slowly the field unspools because the cars cannot, particularly at this track, they can't follow. And it appears that F1 currently has one recipe for generating a lot of action, which is like a really long straight, a like massive braking event, hard turn followed by a second turn. That appears to be that is the recipe now for making sure that you get some action. Even there, it's not 100%. But Spa is designed as much more of a like flowing, like rhythm based like race course, which makes it a far more fun track. And like it's still a gorgeous venue and it's a blast to drive, but it generates shitty F1 action.
And the saving grace that it's sometimes had over the years is the fact that even in this earlier summer slot, that it produces rain. You know what I mean? Up in the mountains. And but the problem with this current F1 setup as well is that they just turned it into mist, and we saw it at the start of the race as well.
Yeah, like having the field turn into 20 aerosolizers, like it's not.
20 Lynx cans just spraying each other in the face. Yeah.
A few things I did want to point out here that I noticed of the sprint or during the sprint. One, some branding that I really enjoyed. I don't know if they're distance markers, but they're like styrofoam blocks along the side of the track. There were ones out there that were just black with the F1 logo, but they had on the top little Lego knobs, so they looked like Lego pieces.
Oh nice. Yeah, they've had those in a couple places. Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, that was good. They are using the drone again here, which I think it's the drone work is much better when it is stationary and you're just looking over the top of a turn. I think it's a really cool angle, and you don't have any movement, because the drone movement looks bad and you can't zoom in with the drone and make it look like those other professional cameras. It just doesn't look good. But there was some weird frame rate thing going on. So
it was framey as fuck.
They were ghosting or something. Yeah.
Like the top down view of bus stop, which was cool. I love that. I assume maybe that's a drone. But they had a top down view of which I've loved at every track, but this time it was incredibly framey.
Yeah.
Hey, F1 reboot OBS maybe. What are do we have a bitrate conflict happening? I don't know, but it wasn't great. Those shots are not so bad. I think it was in this race because the weather was clear. When they tried to make the drone do something dynamic, they had one where it just lifted off the ground and went skyward, but it's really distant from the field, and the field just drives away from the drone instantly. So it's
right.
Yeah, it's a expanse of tarmac we are seeing with a race in the distance.
Did we talk about last time? I think they had they were live tracing the lines that drivers took.
Yeah,
through the corners. Was that in Britain? I think.
Yes.
That was really cool. I really enjoyed that. Maybe the coolest graphic thing that I've seen them do in some time. The other thing I wanted to point out is that they are now writing the 3-letter name abbreviation on the camera pods. So the
Smart.
yellow or
really?
black, camera pod, the T-bar above the driver's head, above the intake.
very clever.
Will now say NOR or whatever. Impossible to see at speed. Unless maybe they just assume everyone's going to have that 4K F1 TV Pro subscription, but I think anything to help driver identification is good. Okay, the sprint result: Verstappen wins after that pass on Piastri. Piastri comes home second, and then it's same as the start for the rest of the top 7: Norris, Leclerc, Ocon, Sainz, Behrman, and then Isaac Hadjar making up a place to get the final point. Behind him, Bortoleto, Lawson, Tsunoda, Russell, Stroll making up 2 positions, Alonso, Hamilton making up 3, maybe a foreshadowing of the race, Albon 16th, Antonelli, Hülkenberg, Colapinto, and the not classified Pierre Gasly. The race grid, everyone. Lando Norris on pole, followed by his teammate Oscar Piastri. Then Leclerc in 3rd, Verstappen in 4th. He had a slide at the start of his final lap, and as you had mentioned, Rob, different downforce setting for this race, probably because they saw rain on the radar. So bigger wing, more downforce, more traction. Alex Albon will start 5th for the race. Guess he fixed those engine issues. George Russell in 6th, Tsunoda in 7th. So he, for the sprint and sprint qualifying, had a spec car that was different from Verstappen. The team rushed parts onto his car just ahead of qualifying. In fact, he was a little late getting to Q1, but that apparently worked well for him. He qualified 7th, just 3 spots behind his teammate. In 8th, Isaac Hadjar. 9th, Liam Lawson. And in 10th, Gabriel Bortoleto, again in the Sauber, qualifying 10th. Behind them, Esteban Ocon in the Haas, also running a very thin wing this weekend. Oliver Behrman 12th, not as good as qualifying on Friday, but not looking too bad for Haas. Pierre Gasly starts 13th. Nico Hülkenberg in 14th. Clumsy moment in qualifying. He was told to merge into the line of cars in the pit lane by his crew, and Stroll said, nope, I'm here, and clipped off a part of his front wing. Franco Colapinto will start 15th, then Stroll, and then 4 drivers starting from the pit lane after modifications to their cars. Sainz, Hamilton, Antonelli, and Alonso. Hamilton, again, he had gotten out of Q1, but had a lap time deleted for cutting the top of Eau Rouge, so he ended up qualifying 16th and opted to take some more parts.
This drove me nuts. We never got a view external of the car to the track limits violation, as far as I cannot find, because the in-car is super,
it was close,
tight. I'm that doesn't look like all 4 went off, but
and they called it very quickly as well. They called
nobody. There's no protest. It seems like they did get him, but I would love to see I'd love to see the violation, because the in-car looked like a pretty normal line through there. I'm not even sure, was it off the left hand side, or was it on the exit of Radial where he that seems to be where he went off the widest, where I could imagine all four being off, but it seemed like a really tight call, and I'm kind of surprised there wasn't a camera angle to pick up, the run up the hill. It's just kind of a weird, why is there a gap in... I kind of felt like the entire weekend we weren't getting great views of the top of Radial, or the Kemmel Strait. We were shooting down through the trees a lot from the helicopter, but there wasn't a lot of coverage of Eau Rouge, Radial, and the Kemmel Strait from stationary vantage points.
The FIA does have other camera angles that they look at. Maybe they're just not fit for broadcast. But still running
some boobies on there or something, or
right.
Someone saying a slur.
You've seen the other stuff they put out there. I mean, come on.
No cursing. Danny, do you want to take us through the start?
Sure. Well, the start happened 90 minutes
before
late because they red flagged the race. They postponed the start because of rain. Now, here we go. All right. Rain in Spa is what we love. It's why we love Spa, is that rain happens sometimes. The drivers, and they've been getting ahead into the news a little bit, the drivers have recently been quite vocal about safety with regard to rain. I think Silverstone in particular, where you had Hadjar rear-ending somebody because he couldn't see anyone. And just we know that in this current spec of car atomizes the rain in a particular way. We've seen it at Suzuka XYZ, but we have sort of gotten to the stage now where any rain is stopping the races from starting, which seems like a massive overcorrection and something that's really going to annoy fans, not just at the stadium, obviously folks at the circuit, but folks at home as well.
It's part of the soyification of F1 now. But I do think there's kind of two moments we can talk about, right? One is the formation lap where they decide we can't race in this, which seemed like a pretty much universally agreed decision where there's enough water on the track, enough rain was coming down, even at safety car speeds, nobody could see shit. And so it's going to be they red flag the session and they go into a hold. Understandable. To me, where it begins to feel more like, what are we doing here, is when they resume the session, they roll out for now it is not a formation lap. Now they're ticking off race laps behind the safety car before the race formally starts. And I am curious, so I don't really have a problem with them being we can't start a race in these conditions because it was super bad, especially further back in the field. When the red flag ends and they take to the track again, the sun is coming out. Even the track is drying fairly quickly, and they just start running behind the safety car for 4 laps, and Spa, that's a long fucking lap.
Yeah. And then do a rolling start, which we years ago they were all about. All right, we're gonna be proactive about making sure we do standing starts after red flags or safety cars, even. You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? They were like, oh no, we're gonna make sure that that's part of the show, and it seems insane to me that as it happens, this rolling start might have given us the race winning moment because one of the drivers did a bad job on the restart. But yeah, it just seems completely, I don't know,
Do you think an excess of caution here was taken because of recent past events?
I think there's definitely, because of Antoine Hubert at the top of Eau Rouge, there's some of that, but that wasn't a wet race incident, was it? That was
no, it was.
I think it was,
but it wasn't wet.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like a downpour or anything like that. It was. No. My memory of it is it's a damp track, but not necessarily heavy rain. They also reprofiled the corner extensively since then. But I mean, it still has that danger. The top of Radion is unsided. And so I think but I agree. I think the stewards, the race directors, and the drivers are gun shy of this track and err on the side of caution. But with every lap behind that safety car, it did start to feel like we were moving from, like good to be safe, like let's mitigate risk, to okay, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because also there is an element of, this is fundamentally spectacle. Like we are not tuning into auto racing to see and the most important thing here is that nothing happens. It's not why we're watching. That's not why we're watching sport. And one of the few things that guarantees interesting action is a wet track, is weather.
Yeah,
and now F1's.
And just in case people are new to the sport, that's not because crashes might happen. That's because grip is harder to find. And it means that there is more opportunity for interesting battles, interesting overtakes, stuff like that. We're not saying people should go racing so they crash.
So when you were just watching the track get drier and drier and drier as they're sort of refusing to start the race, it starts crossing into okay, well now you're basically saying you just refuse to do any wet running. In F1, and that sucks as a fan, as a sport, and it sort of crosses over into Spa or not. Really, it seems like we are not capable of handling pretty classic good racing conditions, and instead we're going to just run the safety car and pump the track bone dry before we allow, and even then we're going to be everyone string out, we're going to do a rolling start. And that is the part where I think up until probably honestly, I think they probably could have started without all those laps behind the safety car. I'm maybe we just fucking go. But certainly after they'd gone around twice, that track was ready to go, and they refused to show the green.
All right, well, we're going to show the green here in a second, but let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back with the Belgian Grand Prix race. Danny, take us through this rolling start.
Yeah, so Lando doesn't have a great launch here.
He did it again, folks.
A little wiggly.
It's crazy. He had a bad one down the straight, and then after the first turn, he lost the rear a little bit, and it compacted even more, to the point where Piastri had him overtook a third of the way down the Kemmel straight.
This is Norris. He shaved his soul patch.
Piastri overtook him so fast that he was then worried about defending by the time they got down to the end of the straight. So it was just a particularly poor start from Lando Norris that essentially gifted an overtake to his teammate. It was really quite poor, I would say.
And immediately after, he's on the radio saying his charge is down, which
right.
I didn't realize this. So the charge settings are dynamic.
This blew me away.
This is amazing.
Yeah. Said this.
So in addition to the throttle map that exists around the track, where the lap time starts and your throttle response will change depending on where the car guesstimates you are somewhere around the track, apparently the charge settings are also kind of adaptive and start trying to adjust where the car will begin harvesting more and when it will start deploying more based on the data it's taking in from the session. But remember, they were running, I wonder if this is part of it, they ran 4 laps behind the safety car, but also the wet weather conditions meant that the car was trying to come to grips with where it could charge and where it could deploy. And so Norris is on the radio saying I don't have battery right after the start. And his engineer says, well, we consumed most of it on the restart. And I was sitting there being well, it didn't look like you consumed most of it because Piastri passed you you were standing still, brother. You just where was your battery?
He had his iPod plugged in, I think.
Did he deploy heading down to La Source? because that wouldn't be good. That didn't work
Well,
out.
if you assume that you've got like a full,
yeah,
quote unquote, tank of battery, but then because your car assumes that you're going to be driving way slower and hasn't harvested as much as you thought, then you don't have it. You don't have enough. I don't know. Like this is the opacity of the whole battery thing that that I keep talking about. Although we did get a graphic of like last lap here with the battery charges, which was good.
I'm not sure how legit
also,
that is. Where do they pull that data? Yeah.
I mean, the teams must, put it into the F1 broadcasting API or something. But I imagine they do it one lap later for sporting reasons, so that the other teams can't say like, oh, now deploy now. But I think Brundle did mention something about being able to see, or maybe it was Crofty, more battery data in 2026. So I'm very curious to see if
Nice.
that pans
Looking
out.
forward to that.
I just hope the cars don't spray water everywhere. That's all I care about now.
One issue voter,
Yeah.
Danny O'Dwyer.
Exactly.
Okay, so that happens at the front. There's a little more going on in the back of the field. Russell, lap 6, dives down the inside of Albon at the end of the straight for 5th place. And further back, Hamilton is making things interesting, getting first by Antonelli, and then on lap 8 up the inside of Sainz at the final chicane, then by Colapinto on the next lap at the end of the straight, and then by Hulkenberg at the final chicane for 14th place. Later in that lap, perhaps my personal move of the race, Hamilton is chasing Gasly, taking different lines, which is always fascinating to see in wet conditions. Who can find the grip. Then anticipates Gasly moving back to the racing line and keeps his own line, diving up the inside at Stavolo. And for those keeping score at home, that is 5 positions in 4 laps. Great to see old Hamilton in the wet, putting on a clinic.
Hey, you start from the back. There's nothing to do but overtake.
That's true. That's true. And he continues to be the only one making things interesting because he becomes the first to go onto slick tires as the track dries out. A few other drivers follow him on the same lap, which turns out to be pretty good for all involved. Most of the rest of the field follows a lap later. And so with one more lap on the faster slick tires, Hamilton goes from 13th to 7th place. Has an early pass on Lawson once he's on the slicks. On the straight that was incredibly close. This one made me like gasp. His front wing must have missed Lawson's rear tire by, an inch or less.
Unnecessarily close, you might say.
Yeah.
There's no need for it. You know what I mean?
Listen, he knew he had to spice things up.
Crazy. Also, we're mentioning, I think Norris is the only person that's gone onto hards on this first set of pits.
Right, so since he's leading, Piastri is the first of the McLarens to come in, and Norris is running so close to him that they would lose time if they double stacked. He'd have to wait for Piastri to finish his pit stop. So Norris has to come in on the following lap. McLaren gives Norris the option of going counter strategy to Piastri, so he opts to put a hard tire on to Piastri's medium, and he's the only driver to go onto hard.
Did I have this right? They did a non-sequential tire compound allocation, that it was C1, C3, C4?
Yes.
So the hard is sort of a 2-step up from the medium that Piastri is running, right. which is interesting. It was sort of a harrowing moment because they're like, what do you think of hards? As he's like, we don't know exactly when it's coming, but it sounds like it's the last minute where they're thinking maybe the hards can work. And I actually think both of these calls, like Hamilton and Norris, they both seem like pretty good calls. Really, Hamilton's was perfect. For as much shit as Ferrari gets, they did kind of like time this perfectly. They made his race because like being early on this was decisive when it came to outcomes for the race. Everyone who stopped in this part of the cycle benefited hugely. Being out that extra lap on the Warren Inters was pretty disastrous. And then the hards, I wasn't sure how that was going to play out. The notion behind the hards was you can go to the end. People didn't think the mediums could go to the end, and maybe for most people it couldn't. But remember, Piastri's in clean air.
Yeah, he'll be saving his tires, Piastri will, to go to the end. But which also then means that Norris on the harder compound won't have to do that, and so could theoretically just put in qualifying laps to catch up to Piastri. He does have a slow pit stop, which doesn't help, but that's kind of the question lingering over the rest of this race. Will it be enough to catch the tire-saving Piastri? Ocon is another one who stops late, which causes a bottleneck on lap 14 as the other slick tire runners try to get past him. It is a chaotic moment, but Verstappen and Russell do get past without incident. Lap 26, Norris makes his job a little harder by going off track and losing over a second to Piastri, and then he locks up on lap 34. We get a few more overtakes. Behrman getting by Alonso on lap 17 for 13th place. Antonelli battling with Ocon for 15th.
That was good.
First getting by and then getting retaken by
that was a real veteran Ocon move. It was like, you can have that. Don't worry. I'll get you.
Hit the brakes, he'll fly right by. So Norris is trying to close to Piastri, and we're watching the gap slowly tick down. The other battles as we close out the race here are between the old rivals Albon and Hamilton for 6th place. Hamilton catching Albon on lap 33 of 44, and Albon, I think by that point, even with only 3/4 of the way through the race, saying his tires are dead. Verstappen on Leclerc for the final podium position. Ultimately, none of these pan out. Norris gets to within 3 seconds, I think, of Piastri, but again has that lockup on the, or this is another one, on the penultimate lap. It loses him another second or so. And that's how we end. Oscar Piastri wins the Belgian Grand Prix, having made up that 1st/4th lap position on Lando Norris. Lando Norris finishes 2nd, and Charles Leclerc holds on to the 3rd place podium position. Max Verstappen comes home 4th, which now means mathematically George Russell, he's now 28 points in the championship ahead of George Russell, meaning that George Russell cannot overtake him for 3rd in the championship.
Oh, wow.
Which is important. We will get to that. George Russell finishes 5th. Alex Albon 6th. Way to hang on there.
Yeah. Decent weekend for Williams boys. Kind of one or the other, weirdly, but
that's right. Yeah.
They both ended up in 6th, I guess, right? Did you say he was 6th there at the end? Yeah. So they both got 6th.
Did, yeah. Mm-hmm. Lewis Hamilton finishes in 7th, making up 11 places from the pit lane.
That's what I do when I'm like, just want a fun race in F1, is I set it to easy and I start from the back.
Yeah.
Get in a kick Sauber and then try and aim for the podium.
Mm-hmm. You know what I realized watching this race?
I was good at
Sauber, Audi, Saudi.
There we go.
Collusion.
Oh God. He's entered his.
Thought of that too.
His oh God, both of you have.
Yeah.
We're entering our midlife crisis.
Oh my God!
What do you think about
this?
Grassy Knolls?
I saw Eddington this weekend.
Oh.
Was not prepared for the title card that says May 2020.
Oh boy! Wow, that's history now.
Yeah, I don't. If you don't want to go back, don't see Eddington. Very well made movie, but wow. They say it's like a modern Western. It's a horror movie.
Oh, cool.
It's definitely a horror movie.
Nice.
Liam Lawson comes home 8th. Gabriel Bortoleto 9th, getting 2 more points for Saudi.
Nice.
Pierre Gasly finishing the race in 10th, 1 more point for Alpine. Behind them, Oliver Behrman. I think the commentators were really excited about this. He ties the record for consecutive finishes in a position that is not first. He's finished 11th in the past 4 races, I believe. Nico Hülkenberg finishes 12th. Yuki Tsunoda, 13th. He is ruining after this race.
Yeah.
A late pit call by his team. They apparently gave it to him to come into pit after he was past the entry point, so he was not able to.
Yeah, it was like at the bus stop they said it.
Yeah, and which is a bummer because, like, as we saw with Hamilton, like 1 lap, especially at Spa, which is a long lap, the longest lap in F1, I think, makes a huge difference. This was probably this was points that were on the line. So he finishes 13th outside the points. Behind him, Stroll, Ocon finishes 15th, Antonelli, Alonso, Sainz, Colapinto, and Hadjar. Didn't really see after the fact what happened to Hadjar, but he had a rough race. And that's the Belgian Grand Prix. Shall we get to the championship standings?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
How are the boys
Oscar
looking up
Piastri still out in front, 16 points ahead of his teammate Lando Norris in second, and Max Verstappen in third, 65 points back from Norris, but importantly, 28 points ahead of George Russell in fourth. Russell's 18 ahead of Leclerc, who's 30 points ahead of Hamilton in sixth. Antonelli is in seventh, 46 points back. Albon in eighth, 9 points back from Antonelli. Wow. Customer team of Mercedes. Hulkenberg in his Sauber is in ninth place, 17 points back from Albon, Hulkenberg is then 10 points ahead of Ocon in 10th. Then we've got 5 points down to Hadjar, 2 down to Gasly, who is tied with Lance Stroll on points. Liam Lawson is in 14th, 4 points back. Also tied on points with Alonso and Sainz. Tsunoda is in 17th, 6 points back from that crew. Behrman is in 18th, 2 points back. Bortoleto is in 19th, 2 points back. And then Franco Colapinto, tied with Jack Doohan, 6 points back with 0 points. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren is on top with 516 points. That's 268 points ahead of Ferrari, who are 28 points ahead of Mercedes, who are themselves 28 points ahead of Red Bull in fourth. Then a 122-point gap down to Williams in fifth. A pretty solid fifth because they're 27 points ahead of Sauber, who are now in sixth with, I think, mostly the third place finish of Hulkenberg. They are 2 points ahead of Racing Bulls in seventh. Aston Martin is 5 points back in eighth. Haas is 1 point back in ninth. And Alpine, 15 points back in 10th. And there is your standings heading into the Hungarian weekend. But before we get to Hungary,
I'm hungry.
let's take it to the news. I'm also hungry.
Hungry for
Rob,
news?
feed us with this Verstappen news.
Nothing will be happening.
Great.
That is
A big old plate of nothing.
Is that the quote? Nothing will be happening. Was that from Joss? By the way, did you see? Not to immediately go to the side. Did you see hero Nico Rosberg? Nothing to lose. Nico Rosberg on the grid walk. Just
no.
asking people about
YOLOing?
stuff, and he's like, he said, I think he believed his words to Joss were, "Oh, now you have nothing to say." What else did he say? He asked Bottas. He got Bottas. He was like, "So you're signing for Cadillac next year?" And then what was the other one? There was another one. He was just like him and Brundle did the track walk together, and Brundle, it was like good cop, bad cop.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow, flying free. Incredible.
Hey, man. He knows YouTube, man, is all about those impressions. You know, you gotta get
He doesn't
get the
update
content.
on YouTube anymore.
I know, it's a
His
shame.
YouTuber era is over. Occasionally he surfaces because he's like test driving. So like I just had some new 7-figure vehicle delivered to my house. Let's see how it is. But then we never hear from him again. Yeah. So the issue is the thing for next year has been that if Max finished outside the top four, he would have
three, I think.
Top three.
Yeah.
He would have exit clause that he could activate and get out of his contract with Red Bull. But with the Spa weekend over, he cannot activate that. He's too high up in the championship to exit. So now he could still be like, I want out of this team. But also every other public statement he's made about it is like he's happy with how things are at. He doesn't really want to go. Not that he had any issues with Christian. He certainly had nothing to do with having him removed. But the most straightforward path for him to leave Red Bull and head to a place like Mercedes is now closed.
Yeah. I think also Toto Wolff was saying things like, basically to that effect, and Russell being like, yeah, no, I don't have any stress now. Everything's fine. No problems here. So I imagine that we'll see a confirmation of Russell for next year. Yeah. That's not all that's happening on Red Bull's side, though. A little more information coming out.
A couple stories just about, every outlet is trying to cover like sort of the post Horner world, but maybe the most pointed story I saw was from Autosport talking about Red Bull's Austrian headquarters is trying to take more direct supervision of the F1 team. That again, in keeping sort of what we talked about these last couple of weeks, that Horner was the big shot there. That was sort of his team, end-to-end control. That existed almost as like a corporate kingdom within a major company, and with him out of the way, Austria now is trying to intervene a little more directly in how those F1 operations are being overseen in the UK. It seems like their plan moving forward is a pretty standard management style where rather than have one the big team principal overseeing every aspect of the car, they're sort of breaking the role up into like a director of powertrains, director of performance, and then a sort of CEO team directing like race day operations, which is what Mekis is going to be doing. But the thing that is probably most ominous there is Red Bull's taking a look at operations at the Milton Keynes facility from the standpoint of efficiency. And the quote that stuck out at me is, once regarded as Horner's territory, the factory is now being reevaluated by Austrian leadership, who believe the same results could have been achieved with leaner staffing. We've all worked at companies.
Yeah. Leaner staffing.
When the big shot
AI to do some of that work.
When the big shot who was like, fuck you, this is my kingdom, this is my part of the company, when that person's gone and suddenly like people you've never seen are crawling over the operation being like, well, why do you need all this stuff?
Oh yeah.
I don't go good places.
What would you say you do here?
Yeah. I mean, the nastiest way to put it is like, yeah, your results have been fucking shit in the last year or so. We could have done that with less. But that's a really like narrow, short-sighted way to look at it, right? Like this is Red Bull kind of coming off a pretty incredible run of success. Now they've lost Adrian Newey, and maybe what they're realizing is like that guy was the secret sauce, and the whole thing depended on him. But just in general, that sort of response, I think there's kind of two things that could be at play here. One is that they don't like how much the operation is spending, and they're kind of hoping to shrink that operation. But also, if this is fundamentally about like corporate oversight and power, one of the ways you shift centers of power is you just start moving parts of an operation or parts of staff out of the facility that you're kind of trying to undercut, and you start like loading those operations onto other offices where you maybe have a little more direct oversight.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I saw something that I think on the race that Christian Horner has given his blessing to Laurent Mekis, thinks he's the right guy for the job. So, we'll see how all that goes. Another team that has maybe fallen from grace here. So it's been a while. Mercedes, so reports the race, holding a crunch meeting to solve where the car has gone wrong. So it's reported in a couple other places because basically George Russell's out there saying like, we're gonna have a big meeting. We got to figure this out. There's a quote here from this article on the race from Russell. It was very underwhelming in terms of performance. We really need to understand what is going on and why we've taken such a big step backwards. The conditions in Belgium, you would argue, are ideal for us in our car. Once again, it's been the worst performance of the season. So we're going to have a big sit down this week and try to figure it out. Yeah, I mean, they've said this entire season that the car is better in cooler conditions, which we had at Belgium. The article goes on to kind of highlight some potential issues with the car, a lot of rear instability. Trackside engineering director Andrew Shovlin pointed this out, and also the clampdown on the flexi wings that the FIA issued. Not necessarily that Mercedes was using flexible wings that were outside the limits, but because they had to adapt to the
pivot.
Yeah, well, come in within the bounds of these new regulations.
And stiffening.
Yeah, that's right. They had to reckon with that. And it's just been a rough time for Antonelli. A quote here from Shovlin says that Russell, quote, has been leaning on his many years of experience in an F1 car to try and make the most of a difficult car when it comes to qualifying. Kimi hasn't got that to drop back on. That's probably why you've seen a bit of a shift in his results recently. But again, it goes back to the fact that we've got to solve that problem because there's still a long way to go this year.
Yeah, I think that this couldn't be happening at a worse time given Kimi's current form, because I think his confidence is shot. Like, there was some quotes from him over the weekend, basically just saying as much that his confidence is not there. And yeah, I think like you said, Russell at least is has been through a couple of teams, couple of various seasons. He's driven difficult cars before. Kimi doesn't have the luxury of placing outside the top 10 in his first year. So, I think it's a tricky one for him for sure. And he's very young.
Well, and that's kind of like one of the big concerns is, I think one of the things that we can sort of say decisively is, like, being in a dog shit car does not augur well for the development of a driver, because you're in the journeyman phase of your career. You're learning how to do this. And if the tools you are learning on are bad, you're going to struggle to build the good habits that will serve you well in a winning race car. And I worry that, like, Antonelli came into the season looking quite good and quite F1 ready, and now it is looking much more uneven as the cars become more uneven, and he is starting to sort of distrust his instinctive response and decision making. Meanwhile, like, the trajectory of the drivers, Bortoletto's coming along like a house on fire after a sluggish start. Behrman looks sharp in that in that Haas, and then Hadjar looks like he's ready for anything. And in particular, like the Racing Bulls team seems to do a very good job of providing drivers with the equivalent of like training aircraft, where it is like, here's a really well-known performance profile that we can sort of judge you against. Like, here's some real, like, consistent handling and response, and that's where you're gonna learn your trade. And Antonelli's sort of been launched into the pointy end of the grid with a team that has really been struggling to iron out issues with performance for years now.
Yeah, I'm no like driver development expert, but my feeling on him is that he's had a lot of unlucky incidents. I mean, some of them he's caused himself, but I think no more than can be expected or no less than can be expected of a rookie. I think where the indicators will be about his ability will be how and if he can bounce back from a slump like this. If he can forget it all, like once that car is back up to snuff, if he can just like turn it around and say like, all right, now it works, now I'm good. I think that would be a sign of a mature talent. But yeah, he is very young. Other news on drivers. Got some rumors here on Cadillac, which we mentioned, or Nico Rosberg mentioned on the grid. This is from Auto Action, an Australian outlet that I was clued into by racefans.net. Quote, Mick Schumacher has already been informed he's not on the team's shortlist anymore. It's Cadillac we're talking about. The same happening to Zhou Guanyu, who is managed by Loudon's company as well. According to American sources, the current poor state of U.S.-China relationships would make it complicated for the Cadillac board and the American fans to accept a Chinese driver in the team, this shutting the doors to the former Sauber driver. So, upshot is Bottas is closing in, and those other two are probably out of the running.
Doesn't that feel, though, it's like we're going to work really hard at making the xenophobia happen? But isn't that sort of decision where it's like, the thing is, U.S.-Chinese relations, they're tense, folks. At the highest level of geopolitics, there's tensions. At diners across America, people are being like, I just can't stand China's enforcement of illegal maritime territoriality in contravention of international law, which, by the way, is not a laughing matter if you're like a neighbor of China, but like the answer to that being like, and so the thing to do is just try to eliminate any sort of like cross-cultural thing happening between these countries. Like, we just got to get Chinese athletes out of sports where Americans can see them, because they'll just be so angry that it would be a bad vibe.
I just think nobody cares. No one cares that Haas is a quote unquote American team.
No
one cared when Alexander Rossi or Logan Sargent were racing as Americans. They were just like, okay, I get that's interesting. I guess I'm American too, but they're not very good, so whatever.
Also, and not to like completely hand wave away complexities of ethnicity and identity and such, but like Zhou sounds more English than Norris. And like there's also an element of, this is an international sport. Like, it's just not like, this dude is not going to be like showing up on the grid being like, I'm just here to win races and support the policy of reunification with Taiwan. This is not what's going to happen. He seems like quite a nice guy, but it feels like, honestly, the thing that might actually be there is business interests around, we live in an era now where like government, business, that xenophobia, that racism
in America.
is
Have
a
you
little
seen
more
car
pointed.
ads since the election?
Dude.
Oh my God! Look, our cars are assembled in America. Oh, they're assembled in America, are they? Where do those parts get made? You
We found
race violator.
Yeah, no, and they're all like, these trucks make America great. These are the trucks that built America.
Dude,
and
there's a Ram ad that straight up has Dana White doing the voiceover.
No.
Like, oh my, yeah. I couldn't believe it.
Dude.
I was like, we are just so.
we're so down the hole, dude.
Yeah.
We're so down the hole. Like, honestly, like, my political platform is increasingly like, I think you would destroy a lot of like right-wing cultural identity if you just enforced like pedestrian safety laws against trucks. Just like wipe out like the Super Duty truck market entirely. And it's just like, guess what? You can go back to like what pickups were in the 70s, or you can get in a fucking minivan.
Man, oh man. Well, look, you guys mightn't have pride for your racers, but our boy, the pride of Ireland, Alex Dunn, ripping it up in Formula 2. Did you see how screwed he got over after the race? We won the feature race, and he's like he needs to close the gap if he wants to win. Like, he's I think fourth at the moment in the championship, but a win would have really helped him, and he got a great win. And then they demoted him. They gave him a 10-second penalty, and the race ended under safety car because of the rain.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
So they knocked him. They gave for like a starting. Yeah, for like a start infringement, which was weird because the race started on the grid, I think, and then went to safety car, so there was some confusion. But they gave him a 10-second penalty, knocked him all the way down to 10th, and then Arvid Lindblad was second, and he went up to first, and then he had tire pressure problems, so he got demoted as well.
Oh my God.
So the winner of the feature race ended up being, who was it? Was it Leonardo Forloroni? Yeah. No. He's who was it? I forget. Oh no, it was Roman Stanek won it. Sorry, Forloroni's on top of the championship at the moment. But Stanek, who's not in the top 10, I don't think, or he's 10th now actually. Got the win in the end.
Great.
So yeah.
Take what you can get.
Good stuff.
Speaking
guys.
of the win, Danny.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The most important record in all of racing, the go-karting track in western Sweden. So Ollie Behrman was on holidays in some small town like 100 miles south of Gothenburg. And I guess they had a go-kart track there, so he spent like 3 days trying to beat the local record.
The commentator said that his girlfriend said, "Hey, you should set the record there."
Yeah, and that was all he needed to hear.
That's all. Yep.
Not helpful,
right?
babe.
So apparently he was like blowing cool air on the engine. He took a bunch of paneling off the go-kart he was using.
Oh my God, sir. Sir.
he even got somebody to give him a tow down one of the straights, and he ended up beating the record, which was set by this poor 23-year-old like roof cleaner, like just a dude who's a big F1 fan, who just wanted, who just like goes to do it. He was out of town at the time, and he went back to the spot. I should mention his name.
This is a Western.
Elton Zevenwak is his name. He went back, and then the guy is like, "You'll never believe who beat your record," and this guy Elton watches F1 every week, and he's like, Ollie Behrman. So the guy's like, "All right, I'll be back tonight. I'll see if I can beat it." And he did. He went back that night and beat him by 0.02 of a second. So
this is a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. This is unreal. Like, so Behrman seems like kind of a tall dude. I do wonder if there's just an element of like, are you racing with kind of a karting disability here against this guy, where like your giraffe-like form is just like throwing a drag chute behind your car? I have no idea.
He did say that he thought the guy, he was like, "Oh, I don't know how he did it that fast. He's probably like 20 kilos, or he did it in the winter." And neither of those are true. The guy is like,
shows up and he's like, I'm just a far better karter at this track.
He's a better karter. He just knows that track. That's like the only track. He said he's never driven competitively in his life. All he does is
this is like trials. Me in the basement in GoldenEye, where it was like really mediocre everywhere else in that game, but like basement, it's like da 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 da, and just like murking everyone.
Agent Rob.
But
that's awesome.
Here's the thing. Do you think at a certain point Behrman's girlfriend was like, "I should have said nothing"? Like, do you think it was like one of those things where like, we're gonna have a nice weekend? It was like, we're just, hey, what'd be cute is if you set the record at this course, and then like, night one, babe, come to bed. He's like looking at footage, sort of rehearsing the lap.
Basically, he's the guy in that Cake song.
What's
setting,
that?
The distance.
Yep. Yeah.
Going for speed. She looks. They're like sitting down for a nice movie, and she looks over at him, and he's got his feet up. He's got a mask over his eyes, holding out an invisible tire wheel. Sorry, a plate. He's got a plate in his hand, and he's like trying to go through it. He's like, "I can get sub 30. I'll be good."
The middle of the night, like. So this dude just has to be the tiniest little guy like in history, right? Like he has to weigh like nothing,
He's
right?
That's boy.
Probably
he must
what's
be
going
a small boy. That's what it is. I'm a big boy. I'm a big fast boy.
Yeah, I can only either she was lovingly fucking with him, because sometimes it is fun to watch your partner spin out, or more likely it is I should have just said nothing. I am never going. This is the last time I am ever going to like play with your competitive instinct.
Should have known. This is an F1 driver. They're built different.
And look, speaking of spinning out, let's talk about the sort of the I guess the fallout from Spa is like Ollie Behrman, Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri has shown again that he is able to, in those high-pressure moments, get the job done. Lando, again, slips up a little bit. Oscar's making a great... This is sort of more of the aggressive first-lap overtaking we saw him do a little bit of last year. You know what I mean? Like, really getting the move done. It's going to be a very interesting second half to the season because Ollie Behrman has impressed me so much with that Sweden go-kart. I think he's winning the championship.
You only see Behrmans now. It's like Agent Smith in The Matrix, where you're just like, and Behrman takes the lead from Behrman.
But yeah, what do you guys make of it? Like the battle is between those two McLarens, and right now one of them is
I hope
you
it
know,
stays close.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of, for the sporting angle of me is like, all right, I hope Norris wins in Hungary so that we go into the break and it's you know, relatively even, and then we see how they come back. Do you want to talk about Hungary?
Yeah, let's talk about Hungary. I'm hungry for Hungary. Let's do it. The Hungaroring, we're back. This track was had its first race the year I was born, 1986. 70 laps, 4.38 kilometers, 2.72 miles. Quite different to Spa. It's much shorter. Have fewer corners. I guess kind of. It's weird. It's basically a go-kart track. Now, we're talking about go-kart tracks. The Hungaroring is the most go-kart go-kart track on the F1 calendar. There are very few straights on this. It's basically one straight, the start-finish straight. It's not particularly long straight, and the rest of it is this very technical, similar to a go-kart track in that you have turns moving into turns. There are some turns that are off camber. There are some turns that are downhill, uphill. So you are constantly basically finding a rhythm. You know, Monaco levels of downforce here because it's just lack of straight. So they are just trying to keep as much, basically trying to eat as much curb as possible and then get over as fast as possible to the other side of the track to get the next turn. It's a lot of left, right, left, right, left, right. So yeah, it's a track that the drivers seem to like because of the lack of distance between each turn. It's just one of the most intense tracks that they have to drive on. So they're like, you know, shifting their brake balance and stuff, you know, mid apex because the next turn is just coming up right away. There's a couple of interesting spots on here, go-kart track-wise as well. There are some areas on the outside of the rumble strips that have these like slight little concrete strips that they aim for because they get rubbered in way better, and that's where the best grip on the track is, apparently. So they'll intentionally roll out over the rumble strips on a couple of these turns here, especially during qualification. It's a track that's given us some great moments over the years. To go all the way back to battles with Senna versus Prost in '88, Mansell's amazing overtake at the end of the race where he went from 12th to first place. I think Mansell said it was his best. I think he, in his retirement, said it was the best race he ever did. Hill in 1997, driving that terrible Arrows car, somehow managing to get it up into first and then it breaking down on the penultimate lap is another heartbreaking one. Schumacher versus Häkkinen had a great battle here in the year that Häkkinen won his championship. It was 98. It was here in 2003 that Alonso got his first pole. He was at that time the youngest driver to get pole position and then the youngest driver to win that same year at the age of 22. Alonso had a lot of interesting races here. Him and Schumacher had a great battle in the wet here in 2006. Both of them, though, not during their battle, but later in the race would crash out or have technical problems, leading to Jenson Button getting his first win in Formula One that year, 06. The next year, Alonso and Hamilton had that very infamous Alonso during qualifying coming into the pits and waiting an extra 10 seconds while Hamilton was sitting behind him. Both of them Alonso ended up getting demoted like 10 positions, and McLaren, I think, weren't allowed any constructor points that weekend as a result of it. Yeah.
I don't know if I know that story. That's wow.
Yeah. It's very fun because they had a bit of a squabble before in qualifying because Hamilton.
You could write a book about that season.
Yeah. Hamilton wouldn't give Alonso a tow, even though Alonso gave him his tow. And then, Alonso basically pulled into the pits. They lifted up the lollipop to let him go, and he just sat there while Hamilton's behind him waiting to come in.
They could have won a championship easy that year. But like the team, the crossfire in the garage was incredible.
Yeah, that whole year is just, it's classic sort of veteran versus young guy, but like Alonso wasn't that old. He was like 26 or something.
Well, that was the thing. It was like sort of I mean, Flavio's talked about this where he said you're going to run into problems because like Lewis Hamilton is like a son to Ron Dennis. Like that is their boy. That is their prospect.
Right.
And you think you're going to be the big dog, but the second this kid shows that he's got potential, you're not going to feel like the big dog. And that's how it played out.
Danny Ricciardo won here in 2014. Another great wet race. It was his second win in F1.
Well, we'll see one of those again.
Yeah, I did a 2-stop against everyone else. And then 2021 was a fun year. That was one where Valtteri Bottas took out half the field on the first turn. Just barreled up the inside.
Wait, was that here? Because he did that at Imola, right?
It was definitely here. Was
he done it twice?
What was the Imola one?
I feel like he cannonballed a bunch of people at Imola, too.
He does the one where he took...
him.
Yeah, a bunch of... And that was the year that Ocon won the race here, which you might remember as well. So,
Wild.
yeah, it's seems to be a good track, I don't know. We'll see. Modern F1. It's not a wide track as well. It's not many places to overtake because it's so close. But we have had great races here. There's going to be a lot of overtaking into turn 1, and then possibly turn 2 because they have a sort of a double DRS situation there. If you take turn 1 wrong, it's almost a hairpin. It can set you up poorly for turn 2. But yeah, super technical track. Quali here is usually good fun.
Last 5 winners, starting with the most recent. In 24 it was Piastri, 23 was Verstappen, 22 was Verstappen, 21 was Ocon, and in 2020 it was Hamilton. This is an interesting one in terms of recent form. Not one of Verstappen or Red Bull's stronger tracks, nor is it for Leclerc. However, it is one of Gasly's stronger tracks.
Yeah, no straights for Red Bull on this one.
And Alpine's. And curiously, Racing Bulls. So, we shall see. In terms of my own ratings...
They had a good race. They had a good weekend in Spa.
They did, yeah. This one's kind of all over the place. Last 3 ratings have been a 3 out of 4, a 2 out of 4, and a 4 out of 4. I rated it a 4 out of 4 in 2024 because this is when... Norris and Piastri started 1-2. Verstappen's car wasn't working well, so he and Hamilton had a great battle. Verstappen screwing himself by dive bombing Hamilton and bouncing off of his wheels. Norris spent many laps protesting and then finally gave the place back to Piastri with 3 laps to go. Piastri's first win and the first McLaren 1-2 since 2012.
Gotcha.
So an eventful race last time, but who can say? Who can say what the weather will be? Qualifying day looks to be a little warm, 83 Fahrenheit or 28 Celsius, with only a 5% chance of precipitation and 7-mile-an-hour wind / 11 kilometers an hour out of the southwest. But race day looks to be a little cooler, 76 Fahrenheit or 24 Celsius, 25% chance of rain, with little stronger winds, 9 miles an hour, 14 kilometers an hour out of the northwest. So some question marks around that. I'd love to see a little rain, although I guess I always do. But yeah, that is what to look forward to from Hungary. Okay, we went over the standings already. We have not yet done the Fantasy League standings, which I feel like it's been a while. The Belgian Grand Prix podium looks like this. It's a 3-way tie for first between We Boys We Send, Stress Level Racing, and My Protein, Your Problem, which is pretty good. If you're unfamiliar, Williams has a strong My Protein branding,
of course,
on their car and helmets and everything. But overall, the standings in the Fantasy League look like this. In third, Stop What You're Doing. In second, Ukulele, parentheses, Endor 8000. And in first, F1 banned my team name.
But what was it?
I don't know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
It's a paradox.
You can send us an email if you like, shiftf1podcast@gmail.com or f1.cool/emails. You can also hit us up on the socials using the links in the show notes. That is us around the internet. Danny, you want to take it around the world?
Let's race around the world. Yeah.
The World Rally Championship is in...
Assay? No.
Yvalskala, Finland, for the Rally Finland. round. F2 and F3 will be supporting Formula One at the Hungaroring this weekend. The NASCAR Xfinity Series is on Friday they're at Watkins Glen International in Watkins Glen, New York, for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at Watkins Glen. Sorry, NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at Watkins Glen.
Wow. That's very utilitarian name there.
It
Did
really
they
is.
lose a sponsor? What happened?
Perhaps. The Motocross Grand Prix is in Lommel, Belgium, for the Motocross Grand Prix of Flanders. Watch out for unexploded
Oakley-dokley.
ordnance. Yeah,
Wow, we went in two different directions on that
we
one.
sure did.
That was good, yeah.
Super GT is at the Fuji Speedway in Oyamacho, Suntogun, Shizuoka-ken. That's the prefecture. The IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship is in Plymouth, Rhode Island at Road America this weekend.
Road America.
And we got NASCAR.
Yeehaw.
Yep. Also, nope. Different place. Iowa Speedway for the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol.
Get your freaks on leashes.
Yep.
That's a Korn reference, the band.
Got it.
Korn.
Okay. With
Jonathan Davis.
the artist. Korn.
Flea. Feel these dreams. Flea? That's Chili Peppers.
That's
Feel
the
these.
Chili Peppers.
Wrong bass player.
I was wrong about the Craftsman Truck Series
Oh.
race. That is next Friday. But the Xfinity
Get
Series.
ready, folks.
Yeah.
Mark your calendar.
The Xfinity Series is also at Iowa for the Hy-Vee Perks 250.
Nice. Did you guys watch Laguna Seca on the weekend?
Did not.
Another Alex Pillow masterclass.
All right.
Good stuff.
How'd Penske do? Because they've been approaching like shut the team down levels of bad luck and poor performance.
Wow. And Formula One in Hungary. Friday, August 1st. Things kick off. It is a normal non-sprint race weekend. Free Practice 1 is at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPNU, followed by Free Practice 2 at 11 a.m. Eastern, also on ESPNU. The Saturday events kick off August 2nd at 6:30 a.m. on ESPNU, followed by qualifying at 10 a.m. on ESPN2. But the race, everyone, Sunday, August 3rd at 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. That's what's going on this weekend. Danny, what went on this day in history?
Well, track invaders at Grands Prix are not just as good as their streaker counterparts who interrupt football and cricket matches. In those cases, everyone has a laugh and the offender is led off under a blanket before the game can resume. Invading a racetrack could result in fatalities. Today in 2000, says the Necromicon. Today in 2000 at Hockenheim for the German Grand Prix, a disgruntled Mercedes employee cut through a track fence and ran onto the track carrying a sheet with a message about the German car maker. He even ran across the track before marshals eventually apprehended him. The unexpected arrival of a man on the track turned the race upside down. Until that point, Mika Hakkinen looked like leading home a McLaren 1-2. But after the safety car was deployed, the order was mixed up, allowing Rubens Barrichello to take his first F1 victory. He had started 18th on the grid. It was the first win for a Brazilian since Ayrton Senna's last win in Australia in 1993. There you go.
Wow.
But at least Mercedes didn't win. He would have been really annoyed if he stopped Hakkinen for a Mercedes win.
Yeah.
It was the one thing he didn't want to happen.
Final thoughts ahead of Hungary, Danny.
I'm like confused by this season. Like it's gone weird. Like at the start of the season, it seemed like there was like a good convergence had occurred, and some of those teams have gone backwards.
Yeah.
And Red Bull is just in such a. It's so strange seeing one driver do so well and the other one struggle, and it's even weirder when the other driver's not winning. I don't know. It's very, very strange. I think the mid pack is mad. Like you saw it in Q3. You're like, wow, look who's here. You know? It was like Bortoletto's having a great time. Like that was cool. Like seeing the Racing Bulls do well. There was a lot of interesting stuff there. We've seen Hulkenberg do well this year. So there does seem to be a convergence there. But obviously this is already a 2-horse race for the championship, and the constructor in that regard is also going to be wrapped up, I think, soon enough. So, yeah, I think it's ended up being a weird season because we're here at the midpoint, right? I know that we have another break coming up in a couple of weeks, but like, we are here at the midpoint, and it is it's great, I guess, that we have an inter-team fight. We've not had one of those in a little while, it's something about that last weekend really just felt off. Like, we had a rainy Spa and it was boring, 2 races. That sprint race might have been the worst sprint since the first one. Do you remember that one at Silverstone? Like, this might have been, this probably was. How many overtakes are there? Like 6? Something like that?
Didn't feel like there was anything happening. After the start, there was nothing happening.
Not so. So hopefully Hungary gives us a good bit. It's not the best spot for overtakings, but, bit of rain. Maybe it'll help, or maybe it'll make it stop and we'll have to wait for the rain to pass like a children's birthday party. I don't know.
Rob, final thoughts?
Crofty needs to stop talking about Piastri like he's the robotic man who's just, what's going on in his head? He doesn't emote. just an emotionless driving machine. And like, Piastri's clearly like happy or like satisfied at a job well done, and Crofty's like, well, you may not be able to tell it, but he's quite happy. It's like, I think there's a little bit of projection here where it's like, unless someone is like wearing like really like, honestly, maybe it's a you problem. Crofty is kind of my feeling
too.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah, that's true. But I think this to me just reads as somebody who doesn't like understand Gen Z or something, like he's just like not.
I mean, he's like Raikkonen. He's like an ice cold.
But is he? Whenever I see videos of him like doing extracurricular stuff on their YouTube channel, he's just a funny, normal guy.
He's just laid back.
He's
like,
just
it's
chill.
a weird.
Yeah,
I mean, in the car, he's. I mean to say he's unflappable.
Right. Yeah.
He's
But
unflappable,
but
not
freaked out a lot.
Not emotionless, which is kind of the way it's like treated. Is like he was like, he doesn't seem happy at the end of a sprint because it's a boring sprint, and he was like, yeah, that was nice. How's he supposed to react? It was like, why would he give a shit? The race sucks. He's getting a handful of points. But just this like consistent reading and interpreting of like, I don't know, I can't tell how this guy is feeling. It's like, well, he just said he's happy. He sounds happy. My guess is he's happy, Crofty. It's a bizarre thing, right? And it's like, I think I have a little sympathy with it because like there have been moments where since I started doing this job, I'm a little more like emotive. But there's a lot of people who like their default setting is I do not like crank the gain up on my expression of like how I am feeling to 10 and like have everything come out like super loud. Yeah. Like I try to stay measured. And a lot of those folks do have to deal with baggage of people like, I just can't read you. Are you mad at me?
I think he's like bad for television. You know what I mean? They want like somebody who's like,
that's what's frustrating.
Hamilton's great at that.
Except they're stupid. He's cool. Like that's like, look, I love Lewis. Lewis is corny. Piastri's kind of funny. Like if you get like in the social media stuff, they put it on YouTube. He's pretty fucking funny.
That meme of the guy crashing with the jetpack thing. Do you remember that? Was that at Spa last year? There's that great shot of there, like during practice, there's a guy using those like jets, the Iron Man jets, and he's like he just beefs it on landing, and they just cut to a shot of Oscar Piastri like drinking from his water bottle, leaning back in his chair as it happens, and he just kind of grimaces and looks at the camera and goes, "Ooh." It's like.
I haven't seen that.
Have you never seen that? Oh my God, I have to send you to that. It's so good. I'm going to make that the thumbnail this week. It's such a good.
If that guy died, maybe he'll show up in the next edition of the Grimoire.
All right. Well, if
Oscar Piastri jetpack meme immediately like auto completes on Google.
Watch it now. Watch it now. Live reaction. Come on.
All right.
Both of you, do it. Jetpack meme Oscar Piastri. It's good stuff. We'll stick it in the show notes. It's good stuff. It's just,
oh my God! Video blocked in your region by FOM.
I have a Facebook link. I'll stick it in the chat.
Oh, wait, there we go.
Over here. You got it. It's keep watching. It's good stuff. The guy's fine. He gets up. Yeah, but
excellent.
He beefs it. But yeah.
Oh no. Oh boy. Good thing he's wearing all that protective equipment.
And then we cut the Piastri. And he's like, ooh.
Excellent. Thank you.
It's good stuff. He's just a normal kid. He's just like you know what I mean? It's good stuff.
The
they've interviewed
jetpack
him.
guy gets up and sells it pretty well. Too.
Yeah,
Also,
he's all right.
by the way, though, if you are from like any country in South America and you emote, the fiery Latin temperament.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
totally.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
absolutely. Yeah, the cool fin.
Yep.
If this sport does love just totally dropping into national stereotypes.
Don't get me started if it's anyone's birthday. Crofty loves when it's anyone's birthday.
Oh, does he?
And does not shut up about it. All right, that's enough. Dunking on David Croft. Dave, as he's known around here. If you'd like to support the show and get access to all of our bonus episodes, the early ad-free version of the podcast, and the official Shift F1 Discord, you can do so over at patreon.com/ShiftF1. Have a good race weekend, everyone. We will see you all next week.